Hello and welcome back to the Gfinity StarCraft Spring Masters 2 live from London, England. I am your host, Richard Lewis. We're coming up to the last game of the day in what has proven to be an awesome day of competition. With me is going to be the Muslim who's been here all day, one of the true greats of UK esports, which just says what low standards we've had. No, I'm kidding. He really is a legend.
I knew it was going somewhere.
And of course, our hardcore Dutch import is back. It is Harstem. So, last game of the day coming up. It's Solar versus Hydra. You've been raving about Hydra for, pretty much all of the day that I've seen you. You also apparently spent some time living with Hydra. So tell us all about him.
Hydra. When I first got in America, his English wasn't too good, but gradually improved. So some background information on Hydra right there.
Well, I feel like the veil has been...
I know him already.
Yeah, this is it. It's like I've known him all my life.
He likes to go to San Francisco, likes to party in his free time, studies English 1 hour a day, plays a lot of Gfinity Cups actually. I think he won about 15 of them. So he's... not a stranger to Gfinity money, and he's here to win more.
Is he any good though?
He's one of the best. He's one of the only guys to ever rock above 80% win rate on the European ladder. I think the other guy that was able to do it was Saxry when he first got to Europe. I don't think in, 5 years, any other player has been able to do that.
In 5 years?
On the European ladder?
I got screenshots, mate.
You got the start of the beta doesn't count.
It's happened again. Yeah. The old man photo album. Yeah. Back in my day, back in Wings of Liberty,
Yeah.
When three players were playing.
It was actually. You're relevant. You're here. Relax. So,
banter, mate.
Banter. Classic banter.
Solar, tell me about him.
Solar, he was a guy that came onto the scene, plays for Samsung, and I remember one of his big breakthroughs was him getting to a DreamHack final. But at the time, he had to play against a guy named Sue, who was regarded as by far the best player, not just Zerg player, but the best player on the planet. And it was a Goliath versus that other fella.
David, I believe.
Yeah, him. And anyhow, all the odds were stacked against Solar, but Solar managed to absolutely blast him 3-0. And from that point on, you really got to see that Solar was a truly remarkable player in his own right. Is he as good as Hydra? I think these guys are pretty similar, actually. And if we look at their Eligulac results, I actually think Solar has the edge here, which would probably surprise quite a few people. He's a guy that also gets to train in Korea, plays in Pro League all the time and stuff, so his practice is probably more regimented, and it is against tougher competition. But Hydra, he is really an anomaly. He moves away, seemingly gets much, much, much better, and just continues to get better. It's insane. I really don't know who's going to win this.
Well, just before we get into the minutiae about the game, we'll have a quick look at the bracket and what it means within the broader context of the tournament. You can see obviously Solar and Hydra in the top there, and Sand Symbol in the bottom. So I guess we can talk a little bit about that other matchup before we get into the details of Solar and Hydra. So Sand versus Symbol, how do we feel that one's going to go?
Well, historically, I think Sand has been a PvZ expert. I think 2014 was the year where he had the first 6 or 7 months, he didn't lose a single series or a single best of 3 against Zerg.
Or map even.
Yeah. It was insane map score, if I recall correctly, the start of 2014 till somewhere around August, maybe even September. Then it started to go down a little bit, but he's still very, very good in PvZ. And Symbol, we haven't heard too much of him. He's a very good player. He's always been a very good player, but he's never been the top caliber Zerg like Solar. I would call Solar a better player than him. No Su. He is just he's a very good Zerg. Everyone knows him, but he's never made that big win, that big splash.
I preferred Symbol back when he was called Prince. Anyway, that's a joke no one's going to get. Producer told me to do that one.
I heard a little giggle from the next room, so you were appreciated.
The makeup lady liked that one, guys. That's the main thing. Yes. So do continue.
Oh, but I have to disagree a little bit with the Symbol thing. When they were running the Iron Squid tournaments and such, Symbol was definitely a contender. He was the guy that just seemed to overwhelm his opponents with Ultralisk and just solid macro. He reminded me of July Zerg, but just with better fundamentals. And yeah, we didn't see him for a long time, but he's joined a really prestigious team in Jin Air. So they must have seen something good in him, because they needed to fill a hole with True leaving. And did they realistically need another really solid player. Like Jadai's got one of the most top-heavy lineups you've ever seen. They got Maru, SOS, Cure, Rogue. The list goes on. So adding a symbol, they obviously see something in him.
But let's get back to Hydra and Solar and let's get some predictions nailed down here. We all like predictions. We like banter, but we like predictions more.
3-2.
So how do you see it going?
2-1 in favor of Hydra, I would say. Hydra has very good CVC. I guess Solar is also pretty good CVC, but trust in Hydra. Been living with him. I know what he eats. Eats like a beast. And if you eat like a beast, you're a champion. So I think we're going to see a Hydra.
Ben?
First time I've heard that ideology. But I'm going to play advocate here. I'm going to say Solar's going to win 2-0.
Wow, that's a big call. Well, look, guys, we'll see who's right. We're going to throw it to our casters now. It's going to be Maddles and Caldo for the last game of the day. Take it away, boys.
All right, thank you very much. And well, as you already said, it's the last best of 3 series of the day, and this is going to be a fun one. I have to say that I personally, I don't know, like Solar is always this guy that has been so just damn good, and I can definitely see him taking the series. But Hydra impressed me so much the last time that we've casted him here at Gfinity. I think he has a bit of an upper hand. But in online score, you've already talked about it earlier, it looks like Solar is actually ahead.
He is, but their current form, Hydra's well out there. In his recent games, he's just doing absolutely fantastically. Just across every event he seems to attend, he's doing just game after game after game. He beat Parting a couple of weeks ago in a final. It was really nice in a best of 7. So he's definitely a good contender. And I think the thing with Hydra is he's just consistent. He's a very consistent performer. If he's not winning, he's getting very deep into tournaments and stuff. So I personally think that Hydra's got a good shot at this.
I completely agree. I mean, Solar is very solid in ZVZ as well. I feel like this is one of those matches that is very, very difficult to call. Could go either way, and of course in Zerg versus Zerg, once you build momentum up, it can easily go into 2-0 for either one of these players, and we already had like Ben advocating here towards Solar, saying that he is going to take it. A very interesting analogy already from Hastem there. Apparently, like, you are what you eat, and in terms of like Hydra, he's a beast. Apparently, I don't really want to go into his eating habits too much. Here we have the maps: Expedition Lost, we have Iron Fortress, and Vani Research Station. Our 3 maps for the Zerg vs Zerg series to close out the day.
Vetoes, of course, were Cactus and Inferno for Hydra, Coda and Echo for Solar. So these 2 bang those out. Expedition Lost first, Iron Fortress, then into Vani Research Station. Do you like these map picks? They seem pretty standard to me, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty solid. I mean, we have a mirror match here on our hands, so the game is going to start in just a few. And here we have the 2 of them. We have, of course, like, I don't know, like for me personally, Solar is like always this. He's always amazing to watch. Just like he's really a fast player. He's one of those guys that is also super nice. Both of them actually speaking a very good English. Could even see an interview later on. For now, though, up to the top right in our first game of the best of 3 series in red, we have a Solar. And going up here on our first map, Expedition Lost, to the bottom left, we have the Root player. Played a great Gfinity tournament the last time that he was here in London. It is Hydra!
Now, in broadcast matches, these 2 haven't actually played each other that much, in all honesty. According to our good friends in Ligulac, it's 4-2 in Solar's favour, actually, in all history. But the last time they played was quite a few months ago, so the current form's not really taken too much into that.
Yeah, I mean, for now, Solar and Hydra, we've been talking about them quite a lot. Our analysts have been talking about the series too. In Zerg versus Zerg, you have oftentimes a bit of a volatile start into the games itself, but like both of them are extremely experienced with this. Solar, especially on the back of ZVZ, has made quite a reputation in online tournaments before he started to attend offline tournaments there. So this is just another shot for him. He's also a very, very confident player.
He is, and to be honest, while ZVZ is a mirror matchup, there's a lot of things that can get really tricky, and being confident going into the series is always going to be helpful. Having that good micro control and the Ling Bling fights is always going to be something that will make a big difference to your games. So we'll wait and see what kind of opening these 2 are going for, but already we've got Solar going straight in for that hatch first. Very normal stuff. Up against a pull first from Hydra.
And we have also an update from our second stream, the Challenger stream, where Sun was able to take the series against Timble with a 2-0. Once again, a beast, of course, in the Protoss versus Zerg matchup, and Symbol definitely not with the start that he was hoping for here. It was kind of interesting to hear Harstem and the Muslim talk about Symbol in particular.
Yep.
I still remember when Symbol pulled off that amazing GSTL all-kill, or reverse all-kill I should say, which was absolutely great back then to the TSL times, so a bit reminiscent of the old school times there. But yeah, San, of course, he proved it in 2014. He's a monster in Protoss versus Zerg, and against Symbol he gets the kill here. And therefore also a solid position in the group. He has to face 3 Zerg players, so now he can just like sit back, watch these two play. Matchup, of course, doesn't really help him out here, but still, for him, it's nice preparation time, and after this game, he knows who he's up against tomorrow.
Now, going back to this game, we've got a much earlier gas coming through from Solar here, who did open a bit more economically greedy with the hatch first, but yeah, that earlier gas is quite a long way ahead, actually, so he's going to get a much faster speed if he wants to go down that route. He's going to be able to tech quicker if he wants to do that. Up against Hydra, who went slightly safer, getting the pull first, but pull first versus hatch first, when you factor in the queens and the injects, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, so not too much of a difference in the build, but this is quite important. The scout now coming through for Hydra, he's going to see the gas timing, and that really is critical, and will dictate what Hydra does in response to it.
Exactly. He knows now that his opponent is going to have speed faster than he does, so he needs to be a bit more passive. He can't really move out with the Zerglings onto the map, since in this case he would just run right into a trap, can't disengage if the opponent has speed and he does not, so he needs to be careful with that.
Speed was actually cancelled. It's not in production.
It's actually like really interesting to see him go for this because, well, he saw the Overlord, of course, moving into his own base. So with him cancelling the speed out, he can use that minerals first of all, and then also the gas for something completely different. But he knows that right now, his opponent assumes that he has speed on the way.
Starting the speed was a good move as well, because if the Overlord hadn't have pulled back and went over to the spawning pool, would have looked for the Shimmer to see if speed was started. So Solar just really wanting to catch Hydra by surprise here without going for that speed. What do you think he's going to get instead, Caldor?
I like that he goes for that mind game. I mean, so far he didn't really reinvest the gas. He just like cancelled and used the minerals then instead, just kept producing harvesters and finds himself therefore in a pretty decent position with that. We still have him with a lot of gas he accumulated, so he's also still mining, or was up to a point. There we are again. And we have, on the other hand, for Hydra though, a baneling nest being built. Now Solar has to be quite careful. Like if he identifies that what he needs is a baneling nest on his own, he doesn't necessarily need speed right away as long as he keeps his own banelings close. But if he doesn't get the baneling nest or doesn't see what's coming here, then Hydra is going to have a potentially very easy game if he plans to be aggressive with it.
Well, it's a really quick lair out of Solar, but I agree with what you're saying completely. He needs to be aware that that baneling nest is coming, and you can always assume it. If your opponent thinks that you're getting speed out quicker, you're going to grab it down, but there's the scout, perfect for Solar, sees the baneling nest, sees the time it finishes, immediately throws down a spine crawler because he knows speed's there as well.
But it also doesn't look like Hydra isn't really going for an attack here. He built the baneling nest because he assumed his opponent would maybe get one and wanted to be more defensive than anything else. So he never really had the intention of like producing a huge amount of Zerglings and just going right into Solar's face. As we already said earlier, he assumed there would be speed. So Hydra instead is now currently getting his third base in the back of that. And yeah, if he would have known, if he would have had the vision that we have, he could have just gone for a massive attack here and maybe taken a win. This is also what Solar was kind of afraid of, which is why we saw this massive wall at the front. Splat on the Zergling here, just like blown to the left.
This third base, though, that's going to be a big bonus for Hydra if he's able to get it up. But looking what Solar's doing, he's getting the +1 missile attack, getting the leg, getting the roach one. He's going to be going for a +1 roach speed style timing, and that's going to pose a lot of a threat to that third base of Hydra. So he does need to be a bit careful. 8 roaches already in production, more are going to be on their way. Is Hydra in a position where he can defend this?
I mean, right now, the one thing that I find actually a bit interesting is that we don't really see Solar doing a whole lot with that lair tech just yet. Hydra should see what's coming there, and if he has just a few banelings, he should be able to defend against this. I don't really see why
he's already got 8 roaches.
He has his roaches in production. There's a gold base coming in now for Solar, and Solar didn't really utilize the lair tech too much yet.
I'm surprised he didn't go for roach speed, unless he's just maybe thinking because it was scouted, he didn't decide to go for it. The gold base I really like as a decision because he knows that the third is going to be later for him.
His entire, like, I mean, he cancelled speed earlier. He had the gas available to himself again. He used the minerals that freed up for additional drones, but he never really did anything with the lair tech. He built an overseer and that's it, so he gets some scouting information out of this, but he doesn't really add any kind of tech. We don't have roach speed for him. Hydra instead is already using that upgrade, so that's a bit surprising to me.
Overall, it's kind of ended up in a very similar spot in terms of the economy, in terms of the tech, in terms of the resources out on the map. Slight supply advantage for Solar, probably in a couple of roaches there. But the gold base isn't yet up, whereas the third for Hydra is. But Hydra, he's got a decent number of roaches. I don't see this doing too much, because while roach speed is great for a hit and run attack, if you're full on defensive, it doesn't matter whether you've got roach speed or not. It's not going to make a huge difference to the engagement.
Well, but right here, if he has the roach speed and suddenly he catches Solar with a group of roaches out on the map, then he can chase them down one by one on every single one. I think he forgot about the upgrade, to be honest with you. I think he probably just clicked on the roach one and tried to hit the hotkey and misclicked, maybe at the wrong building select. I don't know what, but it looks to me like he just forgot to get the roach speed in.
Now we're going to get a bit of a push here from Hydra, who is still slightly down in supply, but up in army supply. He's got less drones, and this gold base is a lot more vulnerable. Yes, there is a spine crawler. Yes, there are roaches, but roach speed is done for Hydra, and Solar does not have that, as we previously mentioned. However, Solar does have the +1 missile attack that will help him in this fight, but in goes Hydra now. He's going to try to take this quite fast. Spine crawler not in the best position. Better concave at the moment for Hydra with better upgrades for Solar.
Queen's already here in the battle for Hydra. Hydra already with the re-injects, trying to keep his roaches alive. He's going in, and we have army supply still exactly the same. The +2 attack upgrade isn't done yet for Solar. We have 1-1 upgrades for the players, and of course that speed upgrade might help Hydra a bit if he can chase something down, but right now in this situation it didn't even matter. He can disengage, but that's about it, and he has to, since Solar still has way more units than he does. 64 army supply against 46 at this point, a surplus of 6 roaches as just shown by our observer, and now the gold base is of course in play, is mining, the spine crawler is there, and even with that added queen support, we did not see Hydra break Solar's defense.
Solar had the +1 missile attack for a long time when Hydra didn't during that engagement, and that's really what turned the tide. So this is a good position for Solar to be in. He's up. Oh, he's leveling the work account now, but he does have a gold base, which means he's getting more income per drone there. That's great news for him. It also means that he can free up more supply. He needs less drones in order to fully saturate that gold. Means he can get a couple more roaches out. He's also got the +2 well on its way. There's no sign of +2 yet for Hydra. Solar's in a good position, and the supplies really reflect that.
Yeah, Solar is once again extremely strong in Zerg versus Zergs, and he is showing it here. We have a bit of a run-by attempt up to the top, where 3 roaches are making their way straight into the main base, sniping off a few of the drones, and that's a really nice touch that we see there from Hydra, trying to not only distract Solar, but also do damage to the economy, and so far it's been doing a really good job, killing 6 of them. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have burrow, so he can't use that to keep those roaches alive and a constant threat. But now we have another attack, and he attacks right into the choke, and the +2 attack upgrade is already done, so an advantage for Solar, and he's also using the number advantage that he has, crushes through Hydra's units here, and Hydra is suddenly down to half the army supply. This should be game.
GG, and Solar takes game number 1 of this best of 3. Very nicely done, utilizing the attack upgrades perfectly. And it all started off with a bit of an unconventional build with the speed cancel.
Yeah, and I'm still really wondering if he forgot about that roach speed, or if he just like said, like he had the resources to go for it and the +2 upgrade. So it don't really know if he forgot about it, or if he just said like, all right, I'm gonna play defensive now as well. I'm gonna like take it a bit later, and I'm trying to get the other upgrades in first. But whatever the reasoning was, it worked out very well for him. And it's just that Zerg versus Zerg, where he's once again like this strong, was extremely well played by him. Solar now in the 1-0 lead. And Hydra just trying to crush that gold base and never really got the numbers up to do that.
Well, it was all to do with the timing of the +1. Hydra didn't have his +1 during that engagement. So yes, he had a nice concave. Yes, he even brought queens with him. The spine crawler for Solar didn't do too much, but just when you've got that +1 in a roach-on-roach fight, it makes such a big difference. We're going to be going into Iron Fortress, though, for our second map. And this is going to be really important, obviously, for Hydra. He's got to win here if he wants to force that third game, get himself in a nice spot going into tomorrow's winners or losers match, depending on where he ends up. And going into the winners match of the group is so important.
This is also extremely interesting now for Symbol. I mean, of course, it's quite unlucky for him, or like he's not going to be too happy about being in the losers match now, since he already lost to San. We saw that result on screen a few seconds ago. But now he can at least like check the series out and sit in the player area, have a good look at how exactly his 2 opponents are playing here, so that he can devise a bit of a strategy, or at least know about the opening on certain maps, and can really start thinking and analyzing what he has to do to win it tomorrow, because he will have to face the loser of this series. And right now, if Hydra loses another map, then we are going to see Symbol versus Hydra tomorrow. So for Symbol, this is also extremely important here.
And then that's the joy of doing it in tomorrow, because going into those winners and loser games of the group tomorrow, we're going to have the chance for the players to research their opponents overnight, have a little think about it, get that preparation going, and you can never underestimate how important that preparation is. And especially for either Hydra or Solar going down, their opponent already knows what's happening, they can already be watching this, they can already be analysing, whereas they may not get that luxury because they're still in game and they can't, well, they'd have to go back and watch the VODs.
It's one of the first things that Bonnie actually said when he was playing a series earlier, once that he knew what was was going on in the rest of the group, he said, all right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start studying here. Because originally it was supposed to be scheduled for an interview, I think.
Yep.
And that kind of fell through. I'm not quite sure why exactly, but he immediately said, all right, awesome, more time for me to prepare.
Yep.
So he went straight back and said, like, I want to be ready for tomorrow. I just took down MC, but I don't want to stop there. I want to win that winners match and advance being the first in the group. So preparation is everything here. And with the setup that we're having here at Gfinity in London, it's of course great for the players because they get that chance.
Yep, and getting that top group finish is so important as well because it means you face off against the second place of a different group in the bracket stage first round, which can really help you. But we are in game, and it's Iron Fortress. Down to the bottom right-hand position, we have got the red Zerg player, currently 1-0 up in this best of 3. It's Solar. And up to the top left, his opponent, the blue Zerg, needs to win this. He wants to take it to that third game and avoid going down into the losers bracket. We have Hydra.
Yeah, now the important second game, and we were talking a bit about preparation, and this is actually one of the things that I want to highlight while we're having both of them just starting up with their build orders. This was one of the things that coming into the scene, like for a lot of the Koreans, was a bit different, and where like at the beginning of StarCraft 2, a lot of people argued that foreigners had an advantage because the Korean style is usually that you have time to prepare for your matches. That's how GSL has done it for like ages. You have at least a couple of days where you exactly know who you are facing and which map you are facing your opponent on. So you can really prepare. You can look up VODs, you can look up replays, you can devise strategies, you can train for a particular opponent. And in the foreign community, in the Western community, we had like all these tournaments where you just had to play an insane amount of matches on a single day and you had to adapt to your opponent on the fly. So there was that preparation style versus the style where you go into a tournament, you have to have a lot of builds prepared for different strategies, and a tournament like what we are having here at Gfinity kind of demands both of the players. So first of all, going into the tournament, you really need to prepare for individual opponents, and then later on when we're going into Saturday and Sunday, suddenly you don't know who you're up against, and then you have to really start just like making those decisions on the fly and show builds that you prepared in advance.
Preparation versus reaction, of course, very important when you're going into these games. And seems this game, they are both on the same hymn sheet, both going for a hatch first, straight into that spawning pool. And on a big map like Iron Fortress, especially when they are in the cross spawns, this is nice for them. Probably going to see a bit of a slower paced game. What are your thoughts on Iron Fortress, Caldor? Do you like it? Do you reckon these two have got anything particularly in plan?
I haven't seen too many games on the map just yet, but I kind of like it. I like that we're having a few bigger maps once again. Like, it's like this we're getting a few, it's like this constant switch that we have. A few bigger maps are being replaced by smaller ones and then back and forth, and it's kind of nice because the bigger maps usually cater to a more of a macro style where you see long and drawn out matches, and that's always pretty nice. Every now and then, just like having a map pool with smaller maps is pretty cool because it's usually more fast paced, but just the switch is pretty awesome because if you have only one of them, then it becomes stale after a while. So bigger maps in my book are always okay.
I absolutely love it for ZVZ.
But then
as
again,
well.
I'm a Zerg.
Yeah, you are. But ZVZ, late game ZVZ for me as a spectator, me as a player, I love it. It's so much more tactical. You get, you're less reliant on just a lucky bailing hit, or not lucky, but a bailing hit or something like that. So we'll wait to see what these two do. Both sending out just a couple of scouting Zerglings at the moment. Just want to get a bit of information. This is textbook standard ZVZ at the moment. Both getting the gas, slightly early gas for Hydra, but not by much.
It's actually like interesting because of the maps, because the rule of thumb is the bigger the map, the better for Zerg. That's not 100% true anymore, but it was back in the day. And in Korea, like we had in the GSTL, this one map, Calm Before the Storm, which was basically both players agreeing right from the start that they wouldn't attack before the 20-minute mark because that map was so massive and you could easily get like 3 bases and defend them as well. So that was kind of fun to see back then, but at a certain point, all of the teams started to just send Zerg players out on that map for that particular reason. And yeah, it got removed after a while. But maps like this are pretty fun. And right now we're having, once again, Hydra with the speed upgrade here. So he goes, so to say, into the faster speed. Even throws down a spine crawler here.
Yeah, that spine crawler is quite interesting. I'm not sure what he's seen to really judge that. And he did get a couple of... Oh, no, he didn't. He saw the creep, so he knows the natural base is up, but he didn't get any further information with the scouts. So this is just a defensive move in case there was something very bold coming, but we may see it cancelled if this speedling gets any information, but it's not going to. The Queen manages to take it out. Meanwhile, Solar going up to the lair tech, again skipping Zergling speed, and yeah, quick alert. Do you reckon he's going to be going for those roaches again? Do you reckon he's going to be looking for some Mutalisks?
Well, he could go for the roaches again. Mutalisks, of course, are always nice at the beginning of the game when you can get the damage in. The problem is that Spore Crawlers are just so incredibly strong against them that you will get map control with them usually, and on a big map like that, it's just difficult to get back to your base if your opponent goes for a run by. So the bigger the map, the less Mutalisks in this matchup I feel are going to really help you. If your opponent has a static defense with a few Spore Crawlers and then also the Queens, you won't be able to do too much with them. Mutalisk, you can shut down his vision by killing Overlords, but you won't be able to really help out against run by Zerglings, and that is one of the tools that most Zerg players use once they see Mutalisk on the map. So here we already have the Roach Warren, we have the +1 attack upgrade, and Hydra is actually going into those speedlings, and as we already mentioned, we do not see speed for his opponent yet.
Solar spotted this though. He did have a third base coming on through, but he cancelled that immediately upon scouting this. He's getting the wall up, getting the Queens in position. It's going to be very challenging for these speedlings to be able to really get any work done here. So, good defense by Solar, great decision making, but...
Well, there's no energy for the
Oh no, there
transfuse.
isn't!
No, he doesn't have any energy whatsoever, and the first one's down, the second one about to fall. Queen number 3 is biting the dust as well, and suddenly Lings are in the main base, and that is never a good sign. All of the Queens are down. Lings everywhere, rushing from the right to the left to the right, trying to distract Solar, taking down Harvesters, killing 5 already, and losing the Queens and only being on 2 hatcheries means that your production is severely limited.
That was a million times worth it for Hydra. 3 Queens, 5 drones, absolutely fantastic. Back at home as well, he's not got a huge problem. Yes, there's roaches coming out for Solar, but Hydra's got 10 in production right now. He's not going to lose anything from this. He's got his third base as a massive advantage. He's got a work account, a slight deficit, but with 3 hatches and that 3 Queen inject, he's easily able to catch up with that. We've got 7 drones in production now. That went miraculously well for Hydra, actually.
I don't think that Solar has any Queens left, and he's currently also not building any. He's quite low in the minerals because he's throwing down another base. Okay, he has still a Queen, so it actually has 2 Queens. Either he built them immediately and I didn't see them on the production tab, or he had 5 Queens in total. I missed that, unfortunately. He might have started them once that the Ling attack was already in there. Did you catch that?
I didn't catch it. I don't think he had it. He definitely didn't have 5, so he
think,
must have
yeah.
started them like immediately, but...
Exactly, he probably rebuilt them. I didn't see them there on production tab, but yeah, that kind of makes sense. So he's already back to his normal production now. But if he planned on utilizing that +1 attack upgrade for an attack, then that Ling attack put a damper to it. Now he's going into double upgrades already, and I like this style that we're seeing from Solar.
Yeah, the double upgrades is nice. It doesn't matter too much in Roach on Roach fights. The armor upgrade doesn't make a huge difference, but if we go in the later stages, get some Hydralisks out or anything like that, it does start making a bit more of an effect. Of course, the big story of this game so far is this third base of Solar. It is so much later. He's down in drones now, and the income for Hydra has been substantially higher for quite a bit of time, thanks to that Zergling run by. Solar, he needs to do something with these double upgrades, which he is ahead in just all of the upgrades anyway. He's got the +1 missile attack already finished. He needs to make something work with that in order to stabilize his economy and get his tech leveled out.
Yeah, Hydra is having the numbers now. Like, he really is able to get out more units. The thing is, if Solar is able to hold, then he's going to be in a magnificent position with a great upgrade lead. If he gets those 2 upgrades in, he will be 2 upgrades ahead of his opponent. Right now, it's only the +1 attack upgrade that he has. Hydra is probably going to wait until that finishes. He's already taken down a few creep tumors, so he's limiting the vision of his opponent. But Solar is actually getting enough units out. He's catching up in supply, and with the defender's advantage, all of his units spawning right there at the core of the potential battle. I feel like he's in a pretty solid position. Those upgrades are already coming through. He's on 1-1 now. The +2 attack upgrade halfway done. Can go into +2 attack too. So he's not looking too bad here.
I'm really glad Hydra didn't try and move in then, because otherwise we were going to get a bit of a replica of the first game when he moved in without the +1 upgrade. So that's good news for Hydra. He's just stayed back. He's got still a better economy.
Contaminate actually being used apparently on the now on both players, but also on the other side. That upgrade was near the +2 attack upgrade was nearly done, and then he just contaminated. It's actually contaminated both of the evolution chambers. I like that. I always love to see that on overseers. I think one of the first players actually to use Contaminate against a hatch was Hydra back in the days to limit production, which was pretty cool and at that point unheard of. These days you see it a lot more often, of course, but it's always fun.
Hydrogen now coming through for Hydra as well, so he's going to just be ramping up, going into the Roach Hydra tech. Nice times for him, just still very, very standard stuff. Overall supply-wise, they're pretty similar actually. A slight supply advantage for Hydra, but nothing really to write home to mum about.
Yeah, but we have an interesting choice here. We have like a Hydra then being built now, as you already pointed out, and at the same time this burrow upgrade. So it's a bit of a different style here. First of all, the mix into Roach Hydra on the side of Hydra, and we have also the burrowed roaches, or we will see them probably for his opponent. That's of course a regeneration and also harass that he has there, but now we have the roach battle going on, and that's a massive upgrade lead for Solar. I'm not quite sure why exactly Hydra thinks it's a great idea to jump in and take that fight. I think that was a horrible idea. He's 2 upgrades behind. He's lacking that armor upgrade and the +2 attack upgrade. There was, I think, no chance for him to win that battle.
And immediately the supply switched 100%. Solar now well up in supply. He took a beautiful fight there, and that's all down to the fact that he did have that +2 missile attack and the +1 carapace. Hydra having to make some emergency roaches just in case of the counter attack. That's going to be soaking up some of his resources. He's now very low on gas, so Hydralisks are going to be delayed as a result of that. And it also gives Solar plenty of time to get down Burrow and Tunneling Claws.
I mean, there are matchups when you want to throw away a few of your roaches when you have max supply and try to replace them with something else, but the ZVZ isn't really one of them, and he immediately rebuilt those roaches there. That was just very bad timing on the attack. He must have not seen that Solar already had those extra upgrades. And now we're having a Binding Nest being built as well, which can be really nice in a situation like this. We're having, I don't know how many Overseers Hydra has, but we're having, it has actually 4. Alright, thank you very much, our Observer, who has a good grasp on that. But yeah, if he sneaks them in, that could of course be great, but with all the Overseers around, the chances that Solar is going to do a whole lot with those burrowed roaches sneaking into the mineral lines are very slim.
So, a couple of roaches coming through. That's an acceptable sacrifice for Solar, who is maxed out. He's got a couple of speedlings actually coming on through here. Upgrades are starting to level out a bit more. I believe they're now back to 2-1, 2-1 on both sides. Yes, they are. So, that's good news for Hydra. At least he's caught up there. And he's actually going to get a slight advantage on the +2 carapace as well.
Yeah, the upgrades are the same, and Solar is trying to get a 4th base. He has that Baneling Nest, gets Baneling speed now too. This is starting, time is now working in Hydra's favor, because Hydra has an immense amount of, resources. He has a 2,500 minerals, and he also has a fair amount of gas if he gets that upgrade. But here come the Banelings. That's one of the reasons why he's not ahead, as the Banelings busting through everything here. And now the Roach is moving in. Solar wants to take this. He's still a bit behind in overall supply, but his Roach numbers are way better in this fight. And he is chasing down his opponent, taking the Hydras apart as well. And Solar once again taking a massive lead in army supply.
Now, the Banelings, ideally you'd want to get them connecting on the Hydralisks, but the sheer fact that he got so many roaches down with that meant that he was able to take a good fight. Hydra down quite a long way in supply now, but as you previously mentioned, Caldor, Hydra does have a decent bank. He's got a lot of minerals, a lot of gas sitting there, so he's able to resupply pretty quickly, but this counterattack is very, very scary for him.
Yeah, but there are so many roaches that Solar has to move back for now. And you're totally right. I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, you would want to go with the Banelings into the Hydras, but you won't ever be able to make that happen if your opponent positions his roaches right. If you get the Banelings into a huge chunk of roaches, you get a lot of value for your money. So in this case, we're having the entire army evaporate for Hydra. Solar doing extremely well with that. He's 20 army supply ahead, and that hero roach up to the top is trying to get a few kills in, but so far not really happening. He's once again trying to aim for that 4th, but he needs to be careful. That armor upgrade is soon going to be done, but for now the roach numbers are still in favor of Solar, and he's going for it.
He is going very, very hard for this. He's got a good position, a lot of these roaches engaging, and this is going very well for Solar. His numbers just overwhelming at the moment, and Hydra really needs to try and keep this up. He needs to get that 4th base secured because he's down a base at the moment.
Yeah, he's down a base and he's going to lose this battle as well. Roaches are starting to stream in, and the GG as he realized that Solar is just a bit too strong with that. And Solar takes it with a 2-0. Very well done. Very nice play by him. Hydra, a super strong player. We've seen him perform extremely well at the last Gfinity Masters. But Solar in this matchup is just a monster.
To be honest, I don't think that's what many people were expecting. I reckon most were expecting a 2-1 out of this series, but Solar just doing fantastically, as you mentioned, really coming out strong there. Both games just showing a lot of control. Some of the engagements, though, for Hydra weren't favourable just because of the upgrade difference. Do you reckon that's something which he's going to look back on and be a bit frustrated with, or...?
I still don't like. I would like to see the replay at some point because I cannot explain why he went into that one fight. He lost so much supply there. He had a supply advantage, and when he came out of the fight, he was 20 or 25 supply behind, and he attacked an opponent that had 2 upgrades on him and the same number of roaches, and that looked very suicidal there.
Yep.
So either there was something that we missed, or he just didn't see the upgrades. Something happened there, and whatever it was, it really started to turn the match for him.
Yeah, because before then it was pretty level pegging actually. There was blows on both sides, but until that big roach engagement and the counter-attack, Hydra was still staying in it quite nicely. He had a base up, so a bit unfortunate there. But congratulations to Solar, who now goes into the winners game tomorrow with a 2-0 win.
Yeah, and I actually, if you would have asked me for last Spring Master, I would have said, okay, Solar is going to take this. But Hydra impressed me really so much at the last tournament that I thought he would take this. But Ben called it correctly, so
Yep.
Muslim here with the correct prediction. We're going to give it back to our analysis and see what they have to say about the game.
Thanks for that, Caldor. Don't give him a big head, mate. He's got one prediction right all day. At the start of the day, he didn't even know how many games were in a best of 3.
That's the only reason I was getting them wrong, Richard.
But it was a very accomplished performance by Solar, so you can gloat in just a second. Kevin, what's up with your boy Hydra? What happened?
I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not completely sure what happened with my boy.
That's top analysis, boys. No, come on, what?
It seemed like Solar had his number.
Yeah.
In the first game on Expedition Lost, it was looking pretty okay for Hydra. I had an earlier third base. Of course, that's very standard in a gas opener for Hydra, gasless for Solar. Then Solar took the gold, and Hydra took the regular third. Hydra tried to break the gold, and when that failed, the game kind of fell apart, it felt like.
There was a few little things that Solar got advantages through. For example, they both went for a hatch first, but then Solar actually went for an extractor, then into a pool. And here you see that Solar's just got absolutely way higher numbers here. This is after the fight that gold happened, that was really the defining moment. In fact, getting the gold was the defining moment, and Solar just never gave up. He was kind of pressuring the fact that you can attack the back base of Hydra there, and he killed those rocks, which made it very awkward for Hydra to move about while he was taking his gold base. He kind of delayed Roach speed just so he can get out a higher number of units. And normally you never want to delay Roach speed, but here he wanted to get out as many Roaches just to keep that gold base alive, which ended up happening.
And we got a few clips from the second game here, and this was a moment which our production team have lovingly called the regicide. I think this is where multiple queens were killed in a short space of time. So well, talk us through the importance of that, because again, you know me, I don't even know the names of the units half the time.
Well, this, Richard, is a queen. And what they do is they inject the hatcheries, and why is that funny? It's completely true, but no, they inject the hatcheries, and the way that Zerg works is you produce all your units through the hatchery. So if you can inject your hatchery and make it produce 200% overtime kind of thing, you're in a good place. So Hydra got rid of all those queens, which meant Solar's production was just kind of crap. Yeah, kind of crap in comparison. But Solar managed to get really good upgrades. He hit level 2 to 1. And then Hydra attacked into it just before his upgrades were finishing.
Yeah, well, so here it is for the people at home. So again, you can talk us through it. Let Kevin talk us through it, because I love his voice.
Me too.
Well, we saw a bunch of links being produced, and Solar didn't really expect it. He tried to block with the queens and didn't really work out in the end. Lost 3 queens. And at this point, I felt like Hydra was in a really good spot. And I feel like he would have still been in that good spot would he not have attacked with those +1 upgrades into the 2-1, because even after that the game was kind of equal. Hydra was maybe behind 10-15 supply, but the game wasn't over immediately, and the fight that he took was awful.
There was certain points in that game actually where Hydra was roughly around 146 supply against Solar's 134, but Solar was just very patient, and he kind of took advantage of the fact that if you attack into a player, the concave is already there, whereas if you attack into somebody, you move it in as a ball. So if you are the defender, it's much easier to set up a good engagement. So the fact that he had lesser numbers at that point in time, all he needed to do was buy time for the engagement to happen because his upgrades were far superior. And one thing that Hydra kind of does, even in TVZ, once he gets to a certain number or a certain point in the game, he's just going to keep bum rushing you, really banging his head against the wall. And he's an absolutely phenomenal player, mechanically one of the best around, but sometimes his attacking, he just kind of picks the wrong moment.
Well, you can see as well, there was a big Baneling fight.
Here we are.
which is exactly what you're talking about. I guess this is the bum rush, right?
Yeah, so if we look at the upgrades in the bottom right, 2-1 just finished for Solar against 1-0 of Hydra. And Hydra's upgrades, they're not close to being done here at all. So he's fighting into a superior concave and superior upgrades. And if he's trying to force any issue here, all he's doing is cementing his grave. Yeah. Like it's something that you cannot do in ZVZ. Roach Wars, it's all about superior numbers, but it's also all about upgrades. Yeah.
Positioning, upgrades, and numbers, basically.
Yeah, it's simple.
He didn't really have that much of a bigger number that he could just ignore the other two factors in the CVC. And that's basically where it went wrong this game. So the first game it was the gold, the second game I think this was the defining moment where it all went downhill from there.
Yeah, Solar overall just showcased a very good understanding of ZVZ.
Controlled performance.
Yeah, he knew when to attack, knew when to defend, knew when to get the upgrades. Just everything looked very clean from him. You know, there was no real mistake that was just like, what are you doing? It was all like, oh, I see what. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
So let's see what his control performance does for the bracket. We'll bring that up for you guys now. And you can see that obviously Solar's going to be playing against San now in that upper bracket. So San, we talked a bit about San versus Symbol, and I don't know if you're surprised at that based on what we were talking about, but
no,
I didn't think so. But Hydra versus Symbol. So again, your boy Hydra is still in it, Kel. He can
still in it. Can still do it. He can still pull it off, and I think he will be able to do it against Symbol. I think the more exciting match for me, the closer match, will be Solar against Sun. I'm very curious to see if Sun has this PvZ level that he showcased at the start of 2014. If he still has this level that they can compete with the best Zergs, because Solar definitely top 3 Zerg in my opinion.
Certainly.
Yeah. So I mean, just some sort of final thoughts about that matchup. I mean, again, can those guys, any of them, realistically challenge for this tournament? I mean, you said Hydra's a top 3 player here.
In this group, I would have said Hydra and Solar are the favourites to get through. But the other two, like San and Symbol, you cannot count them out whatsoever. Realistically, Solar kind of flies under the radar a little bit, despite being a very, very competent player. Like in every group, you've got a possible tournament winner. And in this group, you've got quite a couple, actually. So yeah, I see a few of these guys going a long way, especially with Solar's performance there. It was really crisp.
Well, we'll do a little recap now, and we'll be able to show you all the results that have gone on today. So you can see the games that we brought to you from our schedule. We started with the Dong beating Showtime in a very, again, controlled and clean performance. Then we had Bunny echoing that against MC. Bling nearly caused the upset of the day. Started out strong and then got clawed back against SOS to lose 2-1. And Solar versus Hydra, we've just shown you. You can see on the Challenger stage as well, if some of you guys watched it with our partners on Base Trade TV. True managed to beat Hyun, and forget the rest of the results because they've gone. But it was very good. It's been a great day of StarCraft.
It's been a great day. Like for a lot of people, seeing Bunny just kind of thrive and just go on the stage and absolutely bopped MC. Like it wasn't close at all.
Yeah, it wasn't. It literally. And we did highlight that. We said, it had the potential to go that way.
Yeah.
That this was a case of, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object, and in this instance, the immovable object won.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was just insane to see Bunny do that to a player that a good couple of years ago, if you saw Bunny against MC,
you would have laughed.
Yeah, you did.
Like, all right, MC's through.
Yeah, you put MC against any foreigner, it'd be like, okay, they're dead. But you see Bunny really rising, and it's incredible to see. The highlight for me has got to be, well, that's a highlight obviously, but Bling winning the first map against SOS, like living up to all the. Yeah, I mean, you laugh, but like.
Yeah, I found it amazing.
He came in and he was like, yeah, I think I've got something I'm going to win with, and I was like, are you for real? And like.
A great tweet by Bling actually after the game.
Yeah.
He said, I spoke with SOS and he admitted that I was just a better player, so he couldn't beat me straight up. So yeah, fair enough. Again, shows what a class act he is. It's one of the reasons why he is so well liked. We have got a competition for you guys at home. We're going to bring that up on your screen for you as well. And obviously that's in association with Green Man Gaming. All you got to do is follow Gfinity and Green Man Gaming on Twitter and tweet using hashtag SCMasters. And that's for a chance to win some great games. So there you go. It's all there for you. Make sure you do that and support the people who support us. That's how we roll in esports. Just some final thoughts for the first day. Based on what we've seen, do you feel comfortable picking a winner? Who's impressed you?
Picking a winner, you know, Jaedong actually impressed me against Showtime. Like, I don't think Showtime reacted appropriately to what Jaedong was doing, but Jaedong's been looking rocky for a while now, and he really showcased a pretty dominant performance against one of the best foreign Protosses. That being said, Bunny, like, he's just so consistent and so rigid. Like, there's nothing that I can really fault in his play. And yeah, for me, the real winner of the day is Bunny.
Okay, what about you, Kevin?
Yeah, Bunny's my man. I said it from the start. When you asked me about Group B, I said Bunny is the guy we got to pay attention to. And Bunny and Solar would be my my two guys, the highlights of the day.
You've sold your brother Hydra right down the river there. I'm disappointed in you. I always knew you were disloyal. But anyway, look, it's been great talking to you guys and obviously all the casters that have come and sat in the analysis room. Thanks a lot for all your thoughts. You've done great. Really does mean a lot to have such, you know, educated minds about StarCraft propping me up and getting me through a broadcast. So thanks a lot for that. And thanks to all of you for watching. That is it now for the broadcast today. We're going to be back tomorrow at 12 noon UK time. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and from the Gfinity Arena, it is a goodbye and good night.